After the Morant Bay Rebellion, the need arose in Jamaica for an organized police force. I think it was a great idea, as no country can operate without a police force, no matter what kind of ism is the governing principle. But we can have a legitimate conversation about what the merits or the demerits of the Morant Bay Rebellion. What we can't have a conversation on is the need for a police force. Now, as I said, there is legitimate argument that can be had around why a police force was formed and or even the legitimacy of the Morant Bay Rebellion, out of which came modern Jamaica. Of course, Jamaica has transitioned from slavery to colonial rule to final quasi independence, so to speak, which presently holds. Now, it wasn't the police force that necessitated the need that created the rebellion. It was the rebellion that created the need for a police force. I want all my viewers to bear that in mind. But since that rebellion and since the formation of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Jamaicans have not reconciled themselves with the need, the necessity, or the importance of the rule of law. And since independence, we have seen the continued acts of violence, criminality, and lawlessness that has permeated the entire Jamaican architecture. Unfortunately, those in positions of power, and that is from the formation of the country, those in positions of authority have used their perches to help, to foment, and to maintain, to nurture criminality. And we're talking about politicians, we're talking about judges, and we're talking about people in positions of high power in academia. This persists today. Today, we have people in positions of power, we have people in academia, we have people in what exists as a media there in Jamaica. Use their positions of power to try to ingratiate themselves into law enforcement and the rule of law. This has to stop. There are people in power who are pushing themselves between the rule of law and criminal elements. This has gone on in Jamaica for a long time. I see politicians now stepping forward, making statements to the criminal supporting media, while active police investigations are going on. And they know themselves. Marlene Malahoo Fort, who stepped forward and making comments. And this counselor down in St. James there, I won't even call his name, not on this program, ingratiating himself with the criminal elements about the latest police action, which resulted in the unaliving of a woman. I wasn't there. And so I'm going to allow the investigation to play out. Neither was Cliff Hughes. Neither was members of the PNP. Neither are the pontificators who come from up by Huey, who love to run their mouths about everything that they know nothing about. Most of these people will never, ever join up to become a police officer. You know why? Because they think themselves above it because they have a little degree. And then the other thing is, they believe that the job is beneath them. But they know how to do the job, when most of them are too chicken shit to even go on a police ride along. They can request a ride along. They could go to the police station and request a ride along. And I'm sure any commanding officer will try to facilitate them to do a ride along, of course, after they're made to understand the risks they're taking. But they won't do that. No matter what agency they come from, no matter what institution or agent, they won't do it. Because they're chicken shit. They just love to run their mouths, and that's it. That's it. So we don't hear anybody talking about the dramatic drop in unaliving and homicides in Jamaica. We don't hear anybody talking about that. In 2023, 1,393 people lost their lives in Jamaica unlawfully. In 2024, it was down to 1,139. And last year, the final numbers was 673 people. And that's the lowest homicide numbers in 30 years. 30 years. There's no hoopla. We don't hear anybody celebrating the fact that a lot of these same Jamaicans who would have been gone, who would have been wiped out, are still alive today. Because not of happenstance, but because of the work of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is not perfect. No organization, no institution is perfect. It's a work in progress and will continue to be a work in progress. And any department, whether it's you want to revamp the JCF and create a whole new thing, it's going to be a work in progress for the next century. If we are alive or if this world continues, it's going to be a work in progress. Because you know what? The police come from the same people. It is the same mindset. And what I would implore these pontificators to do is to use your purchase. Use your purchase. Instead of Monday morning quarterbacking and second guessing everything the police does for clout, use your positions to talk to the unintelligent, moronic people who continue to attack police officers, try to run them over with their vehicles, and attack them with weapons. Tell them that they are obligated to obey the laws. Tell them that they have an obligation to respect the laws of the country and respect those who are tasked with enforcing the laws. And let me explain this something real quick, because here's the reality. Once that starts to happen, the perception of police abuse will go down. It is not the police. Despite all of the problems of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, it's not the police that continue to perpetrate this lawlessness. It is the society that refuses to obey the laws and refuse unilaterally to disengage from lawlessness. There's no chicken or egg here. Which came first? It is the violence of the society, the violent propensity of the society that continue to generate these incidents. Police make mistakes. This one in St. James was not one of them. And the tragedy is that the police are constantly being called upon to twist themselves into pretzels in order to accommodate criminality in Jamaica. The police force is consistently being pressured to twist itself into a pretzel to accommodate criminality, rather than the society standing up and saying, no, this will not stand. We don't want this in our society. This is not going to happen. We stand behind our police. Obey the laws. How about when you're stopped by the police when you're driving, and the police approaches you and asks you your driver's license? You hand over your damn driver's license because that's what the law says you should do. And everybody love to talk about I know my rights, I know my rights, because they watch these things, these nonsense on social media with foreign cops. Generally, it don't go well for them in the United States. I know. I live in the United States. It doesn't go well for them. Your rights comes with responsibilities. Yes, you have rights, and you should stand on your rights. But you also have responsibility as citizens. You have responsibilities as citizens to obey the laws. And you must. It's not a question of if. You must obey the laws and the commands of law enforcement. It's not optional. You must. You must. So when the police officer, you're driving the police officer stop you, you don't get to decide that you're not stopping. You're going to run him over. You don't get to decide that you're not going to turn over your driver's license and the necessary documents that the police officers request. That's not an option for you either. You don't get to decide whether you're going to come out of the vehicle when you're ordered to out of the vehicle for whatever the reason the police officer has. He has that right. You are perfectly within your rights to ask the police officer why you're being stopped. You're perfectly within your rights. If you're being treated unfairly, to document it, if you can use your cell phone to record it with respect. You're perfectly within your right, but once the officer tells you now that you're under arrest, you cannot continue to say, I want to record this while he's going to put you in handcuffs. It stops there. This is why the need for body-worn cameras now has become paramount. But let me explain this to you. Whether the entire police force that's out in the street gets body-worn cameras, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change the outcry and the outrage about people getting unalive at the hands of police who refuse to obey the law and would like to attack them. Because the question in the argument now is going to be moved to, well, why didn't he shoot him in the leg? Did he have to shoot him? He only had a knife. Oh, he was only behind a wheel. He wasn't going to run him over. She wasn't going to run him over. So the officer in these moronic people's mind has an obligation to be run over and get killed before he decides to take action. Where's that written? Where's that written? Who gives you all that kind of nonsense idea? A police officer was killed. A police corporal was unalived at his house in Harbor View. I don't hear any of you out demonstrating or complaining. Homicide is down to record levels. Thus far this year, 50% over the corresponding period last year, which in totality was 673. Do you think that happened in a vacuum? Or is it because somebody worked assiduously to make it so? What is wrong with you dumb people? What is wrong with you people? What, do you think that the country is going to operate on this lawlessness and be allowed to operate on this lawlessness? No, it's not going to continue. And the PNP, the political party called the PNP, is only using this incident. Them and the weak-ass labor rights are using this to criticize the police and to condemn the police for doing what they should do. PMPs are always looking for leverage. And this is why Jamaica is shit under their leadership. I stand behind the police. I stand behind the Prime Minister in saying it's either Jamaica or the judge. Nobody forces anybody to commit crime. Nobody. How about you obey the law? How about you obey the goddamn laws? What is wrong with you people who can't obey laws? And so what looks bad on a camera, because a police officer orders somebody to stop the vehicle and to get out of the vehicle, and she decides to drive towards him, what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to get run over? What is wrong with you idiotic people? Who does that? And when you do that, you're asking to get what you get. Now, let me explain something, because I'm really outraged. If an accused person, if a suspect in a vehicle attempts to drive to drive or mow down a police officer, the police officer still have a duty to try to get out of the way. But that duty stops when he feels that he is in imminent danger. And that is the imminence of the danger is not up to Cliff Hughes. It's not up to nobody to determine. It's up to a judge or a jury. And it depends on what the operating procedures of the Jamaica Constabulary Force are. Every Jamaican love to talk about, wait, I know my rights, I know my rights, I know my rights. No, you don't. Most of you don't. You can only repeat the I know my rights line, but you don't know your rights. And neither do you know your responsibilities or your obligations as a citizen. You don't. Because if you did, you would understand that when you're stopped by the police, you comply with their requests, you comply with their commands, and you go home if you haven't broken any laws. And if you're arrested unlawfully, you have redress in the courts. Yeah, you do. So now we have technology. Everybody has a cellular device. Everybody has the opportunity to record whatever is happening. Yeah. And you fight it in court. You don't fight the police on the side of the road. That's not going to work out for you. It's going to turn bad. And I can't understand for the life of me what is behind this whole idea of resisting the police in everything. No matter what crimes you commit, and you're apprehended by the police, you want to fight. You want to pull out guns. You want to point guns at police. You want to approach police officers with knives and machetes. You want to run over police officers with cars. How do you think that are going to work out for you? How do you think it's going to work out for you? You want to mob police officers. How do you think that's going to work out for you? Why do you think they have those guns? You think they have those guns as plaything? No, they don't. And there's nowhere in the world where that kind of behavior is tolerated. And most of you who have traveled know it's not tolerated anywhere. And for those who haven't, you know it's not tolerated either, because you can see these things now on social media. You see them on cable channels. You see it all over. You just don't do it. Fight it in court. And any person, I would literally morally stand and with any person who has been wronged, abused, brutalized by police. I don't care who you are. I'm going to stand with you. And I stand with any Jamaican, individual or family, that has been wronged by members of the government. Because that's what it is. The police is an arm of government. Any individual or family that has been wronged by government agents deserves justice. But that justice is not going to come from fighting with police officers in the street. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But for decades, for as long as I have been alive, and I've been alive a long time, and as a former member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, I will tell you, when I was serving, if I ordered you to stop, it wasn't because I just wanted to stop you, because I don't want nothing from you. So if I am stopping you, it is because I'm doing my job, I'm enforcing the law. And I can tell you, I served for a decade. And if I ordered you to stop the vehicle and to get out of the vehicle and you try to run me over, you know what would have happened. You know what would have happened. I'm telling you. Because you're not going to take my life from me in the execution of my duties. You are not. And I don't care. I never cared about the prognosticators and the pontificators. I cared about preserving my own life and protecting the lives of the innocent. That's what I cared about. And so the government must be steadfast in making sure it stands solidly behind the police department, because there is a concerted effort in the streets to disrespect the police, to attack the police, and this is orchestrated mainly through some government agencies like Indicom, excuse me, agitators group, foreign funded agitator groups like Jamaicans for Justice, who get foreign funds to create mayhem and hysteria in our country, and from elements within the media, both sides, both PNP and JLP media. Who the hell gave Cliff Hughes legal training to determine what is homicide and what isn't? Who gave Cliff Hughes that kind of training? Where did he get his expertise from? You get your expertise as a law enforcement officer by sitting at a microphone and talking shit? Who gives them that right? Who gives Cliff Hughes that right? Who gave him that right? Where did he get the training from? But you have a platform, and that platform is supposed to be used for the greater good. But you're using it for cheap clout. Cheap clout. By talking about stuff you know nothing about. You have no authority on the subject, but here you are talking about this is. You don't know nothing. You're a damn disgrace, and you should at least learn the subject before you offer an opinion. Call in some experts. Bring in some experts who know. If you want on your radio show, or I don't know, your television or your radio show, bring them in. Ask them. Ask them. Bring in lawyers. Bring in learned police officers and ask them. Bring them on your show. And ask them. Don't offer an opinion because you don't know anything about the use of force continuum. You don't know it. So don't be talking about it. Friends, I'm going to go. If you like this show, please subscribe to this Deep Dive Television. And I'll see you on the next video. Guess you can tell I'm mad about this one.